Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 4 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that'll make you question everything. Story 1. My brother's been living rent-free for 2 years. So my brother's been living in my condo rent-free for 2 whole years, and now he's acting like I'm the villain for asking him to pay up. Let me explain this mess. I'm 31 and I own a 2-bedroom condo that I worked really hard for. 2 years ago, my 28-year-old brother Jake went through this awful breakup and lost his apartment. He called me up all desperate, asking if he could crash at my place for just a couple months while he got back on his feet. Of course I said yes, he's family, right? I didn't even charge him rent, just asked him to split the utilities with me. I was honestly happy to help him out during a rough time. Well, those couple of months turned into a full year, then another year, and here we are. For the first year, I didn't push it because he was job hunting and seemed genuinely struggling. But about 8 months ago, I started dropping hints that maybe it was time to think about moving out or at least contributing more. He'd always have some excuse, he needed to save up for a deposit, he was waiting for a better job, whatever. Then I found out he's been going out to bars and restaurants regularly, buying new clothes, even took a weekend trip with friends. Meanwhile, I'm covering his share of groceries, internet, all the household stuff. Last month I finally sat him down and told him straight up that starting next month, he needs to pay me $800 in rent. That's literally half of what a 1-bedroom apartment costs in our area, so it's more than fair. You should have seen his reaction, he completely lost it. Started yelling about how I'm being greedy, how family should help family, how he thought he could count on me. He even had the nerve to say I'm taking advantage of him because I know he can't afford market rate rent right now. Taking advantage of him? I've been subsidizing his entire life for 2 years. Then he went and called our mom, painting this whole sob story about how his mean sister is trying to kick him out. Now she's calling me asking why I can't just let him stay until he's really ready to move out. She keeps saying things like, he's your baby brother and what would your father think? It's driving me absolutely crazy because nobody seems to understand that I've already been incredibly generous. I'm not asking him to leave immediately, I'm asking him to contribute like an adult roommate would. $800 for a room in a nice condo, with someone who cooks for him and doesn't complain when he leaves his dishes in the sink. That's a steal. But now Jake's walking around the house giving me the silent treatment, slamming doors, making passive-aggressive comments about how some people care more about money than family. Yesterday he told me he might just move back in with mom since clearly I don't want him here anymore. Honestly? That might not be the worst idea, but of course mom's place is way smaller and she'd probably drive him crazy within a week. The thing is, I do love my brother and I want him to succeed. But I also feel like I've enabled him for too long and now he thinks he's entitled to live off me indefinitely. My friends keep telling me I should have set boundaries way earlier, and they're probably right. Am I being unreasonable for finally putting my foot down after 2 years of free housing? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. Neighbor hired a lawyer because I smoke outside my own house. So my neighbor actually hired an attorney because my husband and I occasionally smoke cigarettes on our own back patio, and honestly I don't know whether to laugh or be terrified. We live in Haslett, Texas, in a pretty normal single-family neighborhood, you know, quarter-acre lots, fenced yards, the whole suburban thing. We're renting our house, but we've been good neighbors, keep the yard nice, don't throw loud parties or anything like that. Here's the thing. We smoke maybe a couple cigarettes a day outside on our back patio. Usually it's with our morning coffee or just here and there throughout the day when we need a break. We absolutely never smoke inside the house or even in the garage because we're not trying to damage the property or make it smell bad. It started a few months ago when our neighbor began complaining. At first it was just casual comments over the fence about how the smoke was bothering her. I mean, I get it. Not everyone likes cigarette smoke, and that's totally fair. We tried to be considerate, like not smoking when she had her windows open or when she was outside gardening. But then things started escalating in the weirdest way possible. She began documenting everything we did. I'm talking photos, videos, written logs of what times we went outside and for how long. She actually showed me this notebook where she'd been tracking our smoking habits like some kind of detective. Then she started making formal complaints to our landlord, trying to get us evicted over smoking outside on our own patio. When that didn't work, she contacted the city thinking there might be some ordinance against it. Spoiler alert, there isn't, because we're on our own property and it's completely legal. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. Last week I get this official-looking letter in the mail. It's from an actual attorney representing my neighbor, demanding that we cease all smoking on our property immediately. The letter was full of legal jargon about nuisance laws and property rights, threatening further legal action if we don't comply. I'm reading this thing like, are you kidding me right now? We're talking about two people having a cigarette on their own back patio, not running some kind of industrial operation. I showed it to a few friends and they couldn't believe it either. One of them said her neighbor burns trash in his backyard every weekend and nobody's hiring lawyers over that. So now I'm genuinely torn about what to do here. Part of me wants to just ignore the whole thing because I know we're not doing anything wrong legally. We checked with our landlord and he basically laughed and said as long as we're following our lease terms, which we are, he doesn't care. We also looked up local laws and there's absolutely nothing preventing us from smoking outside on our own property. But another part of me is worried about what happens next. Like, is this woman going to keep escalating? Is she going to try to sue us or something equally ridiculous? The whole situation has made our home feel less relaxing because now every time we go outside, I'm wondering if she's over there taking pictures or adding to her crazy smoking log. My husband thinks we should just continue doing what we've always done because we're not breaking any rules and we shouldn't let one unreasonable neighbor dictate how we live in our own space. But I keep thinking about how much money and time she's apparently willing to spend on this, and it makes me wonder if there's something I'm missing. Should I be worried about this legal threat, or is this just another case of a neighbor with way too much time on her hands? Story 3. Sweet mashed potatoes started World War III. So I accidentally started World War III in my boyfriend's family because I said his mom's mashed potatoes were weird, and now everyone's acting like I committed some unforgivable sin. This is honestly so stupid, but somehow it's become this huge family drama that I can't escape. I've been with my boyfriend for 5 years now, and his family does these Sunday dinner things pretty regularly. I go most of the time because, you know, it's fine and they're generally nice people. Last weekend we're all sitting around the table, normal family dinner situation, and his mom had made mashed potatoes along with the usual spread. I grabbed some potatoes, put them on my plate, totally normal so far. Then I take a bite and immediately I'm like, wait, what? These taste sweet. Not like a little bit sweet where you might think you're imagining it, these were actually sweet, like someone had put sugar in them or something. So I just go, wait, are these sweet? Kind of laughing because I genuinely thought maybe I was losing my mind or my taste buds were playing tricks on me. His mom immediately gets this look on her face and goes, what do you mean? So I'm like, they just taste really sweet to me, is there sugar in them? I wasn't trying to be mean or anything, I was just confused and curious about what I was tasting. Well, apparently that was the wrong thing to say because she gets all defensive and starts explaining how she makes them with butter and cream and a touch of honey to bring out the natural sweetness of the potatoes. Honey in mashed potatoes. I'd never heard of that in my life, but okay, different families do different things, right? But then she's going on about how it's her grandmother's recipe and how the family has always made them this way. I'm sitting there thinking, alright, that explains the sweetness, and I just say something like, oh okay, that's different, I've never had them made that way before. I thought that was the end of it, but my boyfriend starts giving me these looks across the table like I just insulted his entire bloodline. The rest of dinner gets kind of awkward with his mom making passive-aggressive comments about how some people aren't used to elevated cooking and how she puts love and tradition into her food. After we left, my boyfriend completely lost it on me in the car. He's going off about how I embarrassed his mom, how I was rude and disrespectful, how I should have just eaten them without saying anything. I tried to explain that I wasn't trying to be rude, I was literally just surprised by the taste and asked an innocent question. But he kept saying I should have known better, that I made his mom feel bad about her cooking, and that I need to apologize. The thing is, I genuinely don't think I did anything wrong. If someone serves you food that tastes completely different from what you expected, isn't it normal to ask about it? I wasn't mean about it, I didn't spit it out or make faces or anything dramatic. I just asked if they were sweet because they tasted sweet to me. Now it's been a week and this has somehow become this massive family issue. His sister texted me saying I hurt their mom's feelings and that I should be more considerate. His mom hasn't spoken to me since, and my boyfriend is still acting like I committed some terrible social crime. They're all acting like I stood up and announced that the potatoes were disgusting, when all I did was ask a simple question about an unexpected flavor. Am I crazy here, or is this the most ridiculous overreaction in the history of family dinners? Story 4. My absent father wants money after missing my entire childhood. So my father, who was basically absent my entire life, just had the audacity to ask my husband for $2,000, and I'm struggling with whether I'm heartless for refusing to help him. This whole situation is so messed up and painful that I don't even know where to start. I only met my father when I was in 7th grade. He's a musician in Europe who was never present during my childhood, just completely absent while I grew up in absolute hell. My mother was a drug addict and abusive, and we were homeless multiple times, staying in shelters, often with no food. I'm talking about the kind of childhood where you go to bed hungry and never know where you'll be sleeping next week. The really painful irony in all of this is that the funeral that brought my father to the US was actually for his mother, my grandmother, who was the one who actually raised me. She was the one who drove me to college when I finally got the chance to go. She helped pay for daycare for my daughter so I could work and build a life for myself. She was there for every important moment when my actual father was off living his life in Europe like I didn't exist. So my grandmother passes away, and suddenly here comes my father, flying in from Europe for the funeral. We haven't had any real relationship, he maybe calls once or twice a year if I'm lucky, never sent money, never asked how I was doing, nothing. But now he's here and apparently he's having financial problems getting back home or something. I honestly don't know the full story and I don't really care anymore. Instead of coming to me directly, this man has the nerve to approach my husband and ask him for $2,000. Not me, my husband. Like he can't even have a conversation with his own daughter about money, he has to go through my husband like I'm some kind of intermediary in my own family situation. When my husband told me about this, I immediately said absolutely not. I've worked so hard to build the life I have now, to overcome everything I went through as a child with no help from him. My husband and I have our own family to take care of, our own financial responsibilities and goals. Why should we hand over $2,000 to someone who contributed nothing to my life except DNA? But now I'm getting pushback from other family members saying that he's still my father, that family should help family, that it's just money and I should be the bigger person. Some people are acting like I'm being cruel or holding grudges, but this isn't about holding grudges, this is about recognizing that being a sperm donor doesn't automatically make you entitled to financial support from the child you abandoned. The man missed my entire childhood, never helped when we were literally homeless and starving, never contributed to my education or my struggles as a young mother trying to make it on my own. And now that I've managed to build something for myself, he shows up with his hand out expecting me to bail him out of his problems. What really gets me is that other people seem to think I should just forget about all of that because he's my biological father. But where was that family obligation when I was a kid who needed a dad? Where was his sense of family responsibility when I was trying to figure out how to be a parent myself with no guidance or support from him? Am I being too harsh here, or is it completely reasonable to refuse to give money to someone who was never there when I needed them most? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.